So these PSPPs, okay, that is propagating surface plasmon polarytrons, they are nothing but the collective oscillations of electrons, okay, and that is induced by the electric field which is associated with the light. Okay, so that is shown here and here. Okay, now suppose if we want to influence the free electrons, okay, which is in the bulk, okay, then there is another way that you can do it by using the electron beam. So when you influence the electron beam, okay, so the plasmon which is generated in the bulk of the metal is called as a bulk plasmon. Okay, so this is a bulk plasmon which is generated in the bulk of the metallic thin film or metal slab. Okay, but for that you need a high energetic electron beam. So this is not in our interest, because we are interested in the optical properties of nanomaterials. So basically the optical property is belongs to the photons, and if you just consider the light as an electromagnetic wave which is nothing but photon, then how that light is influencing the surface of the metal that we have studied here. Okay, so here I have given the reference for more reading regarding this. So this is this image we have taken from Journal of Physics. Condensed Matter is the name of journal. The volume is 29. It is published in 2017 and its a page number is 23002. Okay, so for more information you can visit this paper. Now here we are going in more detail about the surface plasmons, okay, which happens in bulk metals or metallic thin films. Okay, so let us try to get more insights about the surface plasmon. So when water is dropped on the stable surface of water, okay, then we can observe the water waves as shown in figure A. So you can see that just for an understanding purpose we are trying to use the we are trying to um, uh, take an example of water wave. Okay, so this is an analogy of surface plasmon with water wave. Okay, so here you can see that this is when this water is very stable. Suppose the water is stable, okay, we are not disturbing the surface of the water, then you know it is very stable, right? And suppose if we put a drop of water on the stable surface of water, then what happens? You all have seen this kind of waves are generated on the surface. Okay, so these water waves have high amplitude at the center. Can you see? It has a high amplitude at the center, and as you are going away from the center, its amplitude goes down. Its amplitude goes down. Okay, so these water waves have high amplitude at the center, and the amplitude of the waves goes down as we go away from the center. So that you can observe here. Okay, so you have to imagine, okay, similar thing in case of surface plasmons. Okay, so likewise imagine that when an electromagnetic wave, that is nothing but light, is incident on the metal surface having a small groove. So suppose for getting more intense electric field, suppose we have a metal like a silver. So we have a metal like silver. So this is a silver metal which is shown in the black color. Okay, and the light is incident on the surface of the silver metal, but the light is incident specifically on a small groove. Okay, small groove is there. Okay, and the size of the groove lies in the range of nanometer. Okay, and suppose the incident light, the light is incident on this groove. Okay, so at the region of the groove the interaction of light take place differently compared to the planar surface of the metal. Okay, so here if you incident the light, its interaction will be different as compared to its interaction on the groove, right? Because there is a groove, the interaction of light is significantly different. So how it interacts differently, that we are trying to understand based on this figure. So what you are seeing at this is the distribution and propagation of electromagnetic fields through which such geometries can be calculated using finite difference time domain, that is FDTD method. So just to understand how the electric field of lines are generated, if we incident a light on a metal having a small groove, that is shown in figure B. Okay. To understand this, we can use a particular type of calculation which is called as the finite difference time domain calculation, and these calculations provides you how there is a distribution and propagation of electromagnetic field take place on such geometries. Such geometry means on this type of groove. Basically, this has been done by the scientist Nathan. Okay. He has published his this work in the year 2012 in the journal Reports Progress in Physics. The volume of the journal is 75 and page number is 036501. So if you see this paper, then you will find this image. Why I am taken this image? Just to imagine how there is a distribution of and propagation of electromagnetic field which is generated because of the incident light. So if you see this, so this is nothing but a snapshot of the scattered field amplitude at the optimal coupling efficiency is shown in figure B. Scattered field amplitude. So you can see there are different colors are shown. There is a white color, then there is a yellow color, and then there is a red color. White color means amplitude is very high. Red color means amplitude is slightly decreased. Yellow color means amplitude is slightly decreased. Red color means amplitude is again decreased. So you can see that if you go away from this groove, then the amplitude of this electromagnetic field is going down. It is higher at the surface, and as you are going away from the surface, its amplitude is going down. So we call this as an evanescent field. So that is shown here. So basically this is the calculations which is carried out by the scientist Nathan, and he is trying to show us how is the distribution and propagation of electromagnetic field if we incident a light on a groove having the size in the range of nanometer. So a groove in a metal film will scatter incident light into many channels. The scattering of light takes place in different directions, that is in x direction, in y direction. Okay, so this is a y direction, let us say, and in this direction just below the metal. Okay, so it means the groove scatter light in different many channels, both propagative and evanescent. So it is propagative and it is evanescent also. Evanescent means its amplitude is going down with respect to distance. Under resonant conditions, a traveling surface wave is generated along the interface which is called as surface plasmon polaritrons. So along the interface, okay, so this is the interface, right? There is a surface plasmon polaritrons are generated. So this is the situation. Okay, Here we have shown this schematically, but here it is basically if you calculate by FDTD method, then you can observe such kind of distribution of electric field when the light is incident on the metal. So this SPP, that is the surface plasmon polaritron, they are in this direction. Okay, you have to keep this in mind. The long range persistent evanescent wave is an SPP. So this is an longer wave direction, okay, that we will see in the next slide. So here basically we are trying to understand direction dependent length scale of evanescent electric field of certain plasmons in bulk metal films. So this is the same image what you have seen in the last slide. What here I would like to emphasize, what are the length scale. Suppose this is the center, okay, this is the origin, x-axis is origin, z-axis is origin. So this is let us say origin. From the origin in the x direction, how long is the electric field is present. In this upward direction, how long is the electric field is present, and in the downward direction, that is inside the metal. So that we can represent this distance, we can represent in terms of delta. Okay, we can represent it like a delta. So let us say we have this is a schematic image as shown in figure C, where you can see that when the light is incident on the metal, three types of deltas are present. It means three types of there are in three directions the electric field is generated. One direction is called as delta metal. One direction is called as a delta metal. It means inside the metal there is a electric field is generated. Right? We have seen this here. Inside the surface of the metal, the electric field is generated. That is nothing but the metal skin depth. So you can see this is a delta metal, that is the evanescent field in metal. Okay. Delta dielectric means the evanescent field in the dielectric. Now in this case, suppose the dielectric media is air, then in air how much, what is the distance, okay, what is the distance up to which delta dielectric is present, up to which this electric field is present. And as you can see from the origin, as you are going away, its amplitude is going down, and that's why we call all these fields as evanescent electric field. And the last one is the delta SPP. So that is what we have shown in the longitudinal direction, that is delta SPP. It represents the surface plasmon propagation. This is represented as a surface plasmon propagation. So we have three types of length scale, that is delta dielectric, delta metal, and delta SPP. So let us take an example. Okay, suppose we have this kind of metal, and if we incident light, monochromatic light, if we incident a monochromatic light with wavelength 500 nanometer. If we do this, then it has been observed that the values of delta metal will be in the range of 5 nanometer. So inside the metal, this wavelength of light can influence up to 5 nanometer only. The electric field is generated in the up to 5 nanometer only inside the metal. In dielectric media, that is just above the metal, the electric field is present in the range of 250 to 1000 nanometer. So this is the range. This is 250 to 1000 nanometer. And the third one, that is delta SPP, it lies in the range of 2 to 20 micrometer. It is very big because it is surface plasmon propagation along the longitudinal direction of the surface. Okay, so it goes very long distance, and as you are going away from the center, again its amplitude is going down, and that's why we call this as an evanescent electric. So this is called as an evanescent electric field. So as you can see that all the electric field which are generated because of the incident light, they are all evanescent in nature, but depending upon their direction, the order of magnitude of plasmon is different. If you, instead of a 500 nanometer, if you incident the light having wavelength in the range of 1550 nanometer, then you can see the delta SPP can goes as long as 1 mm. It means as you are increasing the wavelength of incident light, then the value of delta SPP is also increasing. Now imagine a case, okay, because this all we are talking about a metal thin film or metallic slab, but imagine a case where the size of the metal is lies in the range of nanometer. For example, if we take 20 nanometer silver spherical particle, if we take 20 nanometer silver spherical particle, then how its electromagnetic field will distribute is shown in this figure. So this is the electromagnetic field intensity which is generated in the 20 nanometer silver spherical particle after incident light on this spherical particle. So when we incident light on this spherical nanoparticle, then how the plasmon is generated in this case is shown here. And as I said, the white color, so this magnitude of electric field can be calculated by square of modulus of E, and as you can see, it's a color. The white means the it's a electric field intensity is very high, and as you are going down, and black is 0. Okay, so white, yellow, red, and black, right? So as you can see on the core, on the surface, the electric intensity of the electric field is very strong. As you are going away from the nanoparticle, its electric field intensity goes down. So in that case, it means if the lateral dimension of the interface, is much less than delta SPP, if the size of the metal nanoparticle is lies much less than delta SPP, then the surface plasmon is called as localized. The surface plasmon is called as a localized. So in this case we say localized surface plasmon if the size of the metal is less than the length of this delta SPP. If the size of the metal lies in the range of which is less than the delta SPP, then instead of we are calling it as a surface plasmon, we call it as a localized surface plasmon. Why we call localized surface plasmon? Because the electric field which is associated with this nanoparticle is localized. Localized in the sense, let us try to compare the parameters of delta metal, delta dielectric, and delta SPP in case of a thin film, silver thin film, and silver nanoparticle. Here you can see that the incident monochromatic light is same. Let us say lambda is 500 nanometer. In this case also lambda is 500 nanometer. Now as I said, the diameter of this spherical nanoparticle lies in the range of 20 nanometer. So the delta metal in case of surface plasmon, it is 5 nanometer, and in case of localized surface plasmon, it again 5 nanometer. That is no change, because this is a delta metal. So this is available for in case of nanoparticle also, right? Because the diameter of this metal lies in the range of 20 nanometer. So it can penetrate up to 5 nanometer. In case of delta dielectric, this is 25 to 1000 nanometer. Okay, that is we have seen here. But here if you see, then as this is the origin, Okay, and in x direction, positive x direction or negative, you can go in any direction. But if you go away from the this zero center origin, then you can see at the max you can see 50 or 70 nanometer. Up to that, this delta dielectric is present, because this is air. Okay, this is metal nanoparticle and this is the air or dielectric media. Okay. But if you take delta SPP, because here it has a surface, long surface, so we know it propagates up to 2 to 20 micrometer, but here there is no surface, longer surface in longitudinal direction, because here it is spherical in the spherical and symmetric in nature, and therefore here delta SPP is 0. And because the silver nanoparticles, the delta SPP is 0, it means this field of surface plasmon is localized. It is present where this nanoparticle is present. If you go away from the nanoparticle, there is no electric field after a particular distance, that is delta dielectric. So that is also you can imagine, if we shift our intention from metallic thin film to metal nanoparticles, then the entire formation of plasma will get changed, because its a magnitude of plasmon length is got changed. So let us try to understand the concept of resonance in surface plasmon. Okay, so once we understand what is surface plasmon, then let us try to understand what is a resonance in case of surface plasmon. So the resonance in surface plasmon can be obtained by two different conditions. Okay, all of you should first imagine, understand this thing, is that what is the meaning of resonance. What is the meaning of resonance? So you know that you have wave A. It has amplitude associated with A, wave A, and you have another wave, that is B. So it has amplitude which is associated with B. So when there is a resonance between the wave A and wave B, then their amplitude get add in each other. So at the resonance condition, you have the final amplitude which is equal to A plus B, right? So when there is a resonance, there is an increase in the amplitude of the wave. Now here, because the surface plasmons are nothing but oscillations of free electrons, so these oscillations of free electrons have they are oscillating with their frequency, right? So first you imagine that there are two types of frequencies. One is the frequency which is associated with light, right? You all are know about the frequency of light. So the frequency which is associated with the light. And what is second frequency? The frequency of plasmon, because plasmon is nothing but the collective oscillation of electrons. So if the electron cloud is oscillating, so they must oscillate with some frequency. So that is called as the frequency of the plasmons. So you have two types of frequency, that is the frequency of light and frequency of the plasmon. So there will be a condition will come where there will be more chances of having a resonance at a particular frequency. Okay, so when there will be resonance at a particular frequency, we call that there is a resonance in surface plasmon, or we also call that it is also called as a surface plasmon resonance. Okay, so the resonance in surface plasmon can be obtained by two different conditions. So that can be obtained by two different conditions. In the first condition, the plasmon resonance can be achieved by conservation of momentum. So we have to satisfy this condition. What is the condition? The momentum of photon should be equal to the momentum of plasmon. So when the photon momentum becomes exactly equal to the photon plasmon momentum, then at a fixed frequency, then there is a resonance. So this is the first condition. Okay. This can be understood with the help of figure A as shown here. Now here, this is the figure A. What is the x-axis? This is the momentum. What is the y-axis? This is the frequency, right? Now here, because the photon is coming from air, right? Because photon is coming from air, so if you see the what is the value of its momentum with of the incoming photon, then you can see that with it is linearly increasing. This is linearly increasing, and that is shown in the black line, right? And this red color line is nothing but SPP dispersion, that is the surface plasmon propagation dispersion, right? So this should match, as per this condition, the momentum of photon should be equal to the momentum of plasmon. But as you can see that they are not matching, they are not matching at particular frequency. So therefore we have to adjust the momentum of photon. How we can change the momentum of photon? By passing the photon through a dielectric material. If we pass the photon through a dielectric media, then its momentum gets shifted. So you can see now when the photon is passed through the dielectric media, when the photon is passed through the dielectric media, then what you can see, this black colored line gets shifted to blue color, right? So now we have another momentum for photon which is coming through the dielectric material, and we can see that this red color line get overlap at a particular frequency which is represented with omega p, okay. So at that frequency, if you see, then you can see that the momentum of plasmon and momentum of photon, they become exactly equal. So when they become exactly equal, then the corresponding frequency is called as plasmon frequency, okay. And here the resonance take place. So the frequency at which the resonance will take place is called as the resonance frequency. This can be indicated by the symbol omega p. So this is the resonance frequency. At resonance frequency, the momentum of photon in air is less than the momentum of surface plasmon, and hence no resonance excitation of SPP is possible. At this frequency, if you see the momentum of photon, it is higher than the momentum of plasmon, and therefore there is no resonance take place. But when an optical prism, okay, so now you can see figure B. So this is an gold thin film. Okay, this is a gold thin film. Okay, it is very thin. Okay, and then we are using a prism here. Okay, and we are passing light in this way. Okay, so when an optical prism that is made up of a glass, that is nothing but now we change the dielectric. Initially our dielectric was air, now our dielectric is in the form of glass, is kept in contact with metal thin film. The momentum of same photon in glass become equal to the momentum of surface plasmon, right? So at this frequency what happens, it's a we manipulate the momentum of photon just by using an optical prism. And when we do this, we realize that at a particular frequency, that is omega p, the momentum of photon becomes exactly equal to the momentum of the plasmon, and that's why this fulfills the resonant condition. That is what we are looking for, right? This is what we want. Okay, so we obtain this condition of photon momentum is equal to plasmon momentum just by keeping an optical prism just below the gold thin film. And therefore, the resonance excitation of SPP is possible through prism. So you can see that this is a metallic thin film, this is a prism, and this is a monochromatic light, and because the momentum of photon will become exactly equal to the momentum of plasmon, you can see there is a resonance. So at resonance, what you can see, there is an increase in the amplitude. So this will happen, okay, this kind of signal, okay, electric field is generated only at this condition, right? So we have said that there are two different conditions to get resonance. What is the second condition? In the second condition, the plasmon resonance can be achieved by applying the light with different wavelength, because now here in the first condition our wavelength was fixed. So in that case, so this wavelength, because wavelength is fixed, so this frequency is also fixed, right? So because we have constant frequency, we shifted the momentum of photon from here to here, okay. But suppose, what is another case? Instead of this prism, what you can do is, instead of this monochromatic light, you can just keep changing the wavelength of incident light. So you will realize that, because I have already told you, is that because for different wavelength we are also changing the frequency of light. Because we are changing the frequency of light at a particular frequency, okay, what will happen? The frequency of light will get matched with the frequency of the surface plasmon. And when the frequency of the light match with this frequency of the surface plasmon, resonance will take place. So this is the second condition, where where we are changing the frequency of the light. We are changing the wavelength of light, means we are changing the frequency of light, and at a particular frequency, what will happen? It will match with the frequency of the plasmon, and you will get the resonance. So this is the way how we are able to get this resonance in this surface plasmons. Okay, so we will stop here, and we will see uh, more about the surface plasmons in our next lecture. Thank you.